Welcome to Off With Their Headlines. I am your co-host, Amanda Matta, joined as always by the flushed. She told me she was feeling Barbie pink today, Meredith Constant.
It's
Meredith.
pink. It goes with everything.
It goes good with green, although I'm not wearing green. I'm wearing gray. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm hanging in there. It's March, we're doing the thing. No one else has been arrested recently in the British royal family, but knock on wood.
Fingers crossed, yeah.
Who knows what's to come? But yeah, we have a pretty exciting March because we have our book club. We have kicked it off. Join the club. We just put out a video over the weekend on our Patreon announcing how the book club is going to run, all different discussion posts. We also have a poll out about when exactly we are going to have our meetup call to discuss the book, The Crown's Silence by Dr. Brooke Newman. So if you are interested in that, head over to patreon.com/offwiththeirheadlines. Check out the $8 tier, which is the Royal Archivists, and you can learn more. And then you also get bonus episodes and ad-free episodes and all that good stuff.
It's a great deal, honestly. But today we have a jam-packed episode. We are doing a little bit of a check-in today, not just with the Brits, who have had so much going on this winter, but also on what's going on around the world, because we've been a little out of touch, and I wanted to see how everyone's handling this unprecedented time in the monarchies around the world. So I brought some updates. Meredith has some updates for us from the British side of things, because we can't turn away for even one episode.
Never. And we certainly can't because, and this is a great tie into our interview, our Burying the Lead this week is all about Prince William. And it comes from the Sunday Times royal editor, which if you want to know what Prince William's team wants out there, this is a good place to start. So this came out over the weekend. Here is the title. Prince William wanted Andrew removed from line of succession last year. How brave. How absolutely astonishing to find out 4 months later that when Charles removed the titles and honors, William was privately fuming that it didn't go far enough to remove Andrew from the line of succession. But it's coming out now because, I don't know, everyone's pretty much on board with it, and it seems like a no-brainer.
In the wake of our interview last week with Russell Myers, remember when he said, William will never make a fuss if the king does something he doesn't agree with? Is that still true?
That's what I'm wondering, because doesn't it kind of undermine King Charles now to put this out there, just as it would have if in October there was dueling narratives out there, which I still feel like there was this Prince William wanted things to happen sooner narrative then.
But the other thing with this, removing someone from the succession is a government issue. And not only do you have King Charles from the top down saying, we're not going to comment on the investigation because that's a police matter, a government matter. Why would William think it's okay to brief about a government matter, the line of succession? Only because it's popular now? That's not enough of an excuse, sadly.
It's not. And it's very, if Monday morning quarterbacking was a future king, it's William.
Wait, what does that mean? I don't know that phrase.
Let me introduce you to sports ball. That's a person who passes judgment on and criticizes something after the event. So it's like you watch the big game, and then you're like, oh, God, of course you wouldn't put in Tom Brady because my only sports references are from like 2004. It's kind of stuff like that. And that's what William always does. Wow, you say that you're going to do the thing that now everyone is saying should have happened. But I actually think it's kind of a self-own because it still doesn't go far enough. And I think what was particularly revealing in this piece is that a source close to, William said that he wanted the process instigated in the autumn when Andrew's titles were stripped. William is, quote, anxious about the impact of Andrew's scandal on the monarchy and implications for his future reign. So not the victims that we've expressed deep concern for, not if there is some larger systemic issue. We're concerned about our image. And so in that regard, stripping Andrew of his titles and removing him from the line of succession is doing enough when all you want to do is make surface level change.
It can never just be because it's the right thing to do. I don't know if you need a parliamentarian argument for this other than it's just vibes, and the vibes of him still being in the succession are objectively bad. But because he's a Prince of Wales, dipping his toe here into a parliamentary matter, you do kind of need that backing. So once you go down that road, like, it unravels so quickly and, like you said, becomes this self-own. That's fascinating.
Do you think that if William just came out and said, the vibes are truly horrible, that maybe
Maybe a little bit better.
Yeah,
Maybe.
just saying,
Maybe.
just throwing it out there.
Well, before we go any farther and look at other monarchies around the world, what they are up to, I did want to give a plug really quickly to an episode of a friend of the podcast, the Booked In podcast by, well, News by Hill. Hillary McGann, I believe is her last name. She interviewed Andrew Lowney this week, and it was the first time I've listened to Andrew Lowney be interviewed by somebody who asked him process questions, similar to you and I would ask, Meredith. How did you source? Did you have to run this by the palace? And the answers were very interesting, but also some of the points discussed now in the wake of Andrew's arrest. Very, very interesting, because Lowney talks about how he was the first one kind of ringing the alarm bell of you could arrest him for misconduct in public office. And he also discusses, like, there could be a treason charge on the horizon. So this story, I think, is far from over. And I just wanted to mention that episode kind of put this whole saga in a new light for me.
Hillary is so wonderful. I mean, she's pretty big on Instagram. I think she took a little break for a while, but News by Hill, check her out. She has a gorgeous Irish accent, and she's a girl's girl. Okay, she supports. She is so lovely, and we need to have her on the pod sometime. But definitely go check out and support her podcast.
Yeah. So with that, Meredith,
I love that this is like our Keeping Up with the Kardashians, except
Keeping Up with the Monarchies.
The Monarchies. And I think my only quote that I'll probably be able to throw out from Keeping Up with the Kardashians is, people are dying, Kim.
Well, it's a bad segue. So I just wanted to note, obviously, that we don't run a political podcast, but part of the current geopolitical crisis that's unfolding in the Middle East stems from Iran's monarchy being overthrown and abolished in the late 1970s. So I don't know how much people know or understand, but before 1979, Iran was a monarchy. Without going too far down the rabbit hole, we might want to do a deep dive on this at some point. I was looking into it in the wake of our strikes on Iran over the weekend.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, please.
When you were in high school, when you were in U.S. history, at what point did you the textbook ended because you were reaching the end of the school year? You kind of had to speed through some stuff. Like, what decade is that?
So I think for us, it was definitely this period, because we were more interested in getting to Iraq and, like, 9/11. We learned a little bit about the Taliban, but because I was in school, would have been in 2008, 8th grade, it was like recent history. So I think they were more interested in making us understand that.
That is so interesting. And 9/11 happened when I was in 8th grade. So my history books were not doing September 11th and the Iraq War and things like that. But I feel like
we didn't get a ton of it, but we got a little bit of it from our teachers, like setting up the geopolitical stage for us to kind of understand the ongoing conflicts and news.
I feel like we kind of hit Carter, and then it was like Reagan, trickle-down economics, Iran-Contra scandal. There was another Bush. And we're kind of out of time for the school year.
Skated through that stuff, too. We did have, like, they broke up at some point. They broke up U.S. history into 2 different years. So, like, you would take one and then 2. But this was my weakest time
I think we needed a little more focus on some of the more recent.
It's hard.
It's totally hard. And I have such respect for teachers, and there's so many limitations. But man, understanding the role that we have played in controversies in the Middle East, and also our role in destabilizing South America, Latin America, really a lot of the world, okay, could have been important to learn.
It kind of reminds me, this is a gripe that I don't understand why more people don't have. When you listen to, like, a modern contemporary radio station and they say we play the 80s, 90s, and today now does heavy lifting for like 3 decades. I don't know, when are we going to adjust that to like 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, 2020s? Like, that's, you know what I mean?
We have to, because it's and maybe that's why we're all confused about what year it is and how old we are and when music came out. Because today, that could include like the last NSYNC album as well as Bad Bunny.
Exactly. So I think that's what's happening with our history education in the US.
I love that. I love
current
that.
events has to encompass pretty much everything from the 90s to 2026 at this point.
I think you just solved it.
I think
Thank
I just
you.
fixed it. I'm going to write
Do you have time to rewrite the curriculum of history in the US? But anyway.
Before we get into some of this news, we need to acknowledge the airstrikes undertaken by the US and Israel in the Middle East over the weekend because it directly impacts some of this royal news. Iran actually, until 1979, had a monarchy. They were ruled by a Shah type of king. And the society was actually pretty steadily modernizing. It wasn't religious. It wasn't an Islamic republic like we know Iran to be today. But the monarchy being abolished in 1979 and the last Shah fleeing, he went to Egypt where he then died the next year, is kind of what paved the way for the Ayatollah to then come in and establish this Islamic republic, which was really imposed on the people of Iran. So maybe a potential future deep dive topic, I don't know. Especially because the son of that last exiled king, Reza Pahlavi, is still a very active opposition figure. He is, I believe, US backed, but many do see him as like the viable alternative to
That's what always makes me nervous.
Regime. Yeah,
is the US backed. It always makes me a little nervous.
And it's this whole story and this whole moment in history is tough because multiple truths at the same time. Like, it's okay that we can celebrate this repressive regime being on shaky ground, but like also not like the means it took to get there. Like, I do not condone airstrikes. So it's like, what do you do? Well, in royal news, if you are King Juan Carlos of Spain, you might have a different issue right now. King Juan Carlos of Spain, who is 88 years old, this is the ex-king, he abdicated.
Was he one of the kings that abdicated because in Spain it's traditional to, once you're old, kind of pass it on to the next generation? No, I'm not remembering this correctly.
He abdicated in 2014 after, I think, like 40 years in power. He was the first king after Spain came out of being a dictatorship.
Okay, yep.
Into being a democracy. He abdicated after a string of controversies. He allegedly had a mistress, financial misdeeds, embezzlement was mentioned. Like, there's a lot. So anyway, currently he has been living in Abu Dhabi and has been living there for 5.5 years, and he's stuck there, basically. He can't leave. He can't get out because the airspace has been closed down. He has been living in a hotel in the city amid the US-Israeli conflict against Iran due to renovations at his home. And people say he's better off there at the moment because he's less isolated. But again, he is essentially stuck in the UAE.
And haven't there been a bunch of stories about how people who have gone to Abu Dhabi to live to, kind of
to get away from politics, yeah,
and stuff are now like, get us out, and it's like, well,
babe, you made your
choice. That you decided you really didn't like the tax. I don't know what it is, but it's kind of wild.
see one influencer complaining on her account, like in a very glossy reel, about how she was trying to get her ticket refunded for like the Emirates airline, and everyone's like, girl, read the room. You are not their biggest concern right now. My friend.
There are other things going on. I'm sorry.
Sorry. So that's what one monarchy is kind of dealing with right now. Over in Norway, I have a couple updates for you.
Norway, I mean, a close second, or even tied sometimes with British royal family shenanigans, I will say.
Right now, yes. So a non-Epstein related update first.
Joy.
So King Harold, who is 89 years old, he is the oldest.
This is not going to be joyous. Okay.
No, it's not. Sorry. I do have a couple joyful conversations for you later, but we got to get through some stuff first.
Okay.
So King Harold, he is currently the oldest reigning monarch in the world. He was hospitalized last week on holiday in Tenerife, Spain, with his wife, Queen Sonia. He was treated for an infection and dehydration before being discharged. His physician flew from Norway to Spain to assist in his treatment. We did get some updates saying that his condition was good. He was stable. He was responding well to treatment. But allegedly, the infection was a skin infection in one of the king's legs. So,
yikes.
Now, I have a question because King Harold, his duties have been reduced since 2024. He has outright said he's not going to abdicate. He's not going to follow in the footsteps of Denmark and the Netherlands, where it is kind of
pry
tradition.
this crown from my cold, dead hands and infected legs on vacation.
But exactly, on vacation. So earlier, before he was hospitalized this February, he and Queen Sonja were in Milan attending the Winter Olympic Games, where Norway cleaned up the medals. But presumably they then followed that trip with this vacation to the Isle of Tenerife. Last February, they were in Malaysia, and if you'll remember, he was hospitalized on that trip as well due to an infection. And that was the episode where he had a temporary pacemaker implanted due to a low heart rate.
Maybe it's time for Grandpa to stay countryside.
At some point, like, if you're not going to give up the crown, hot take, maybe you don't go on international vacations. We're 2 for 2 on hospitalizations on winter holidays.
It's not great.
No, not great. Especially because of what's going on in the House of Norway right now. Of course, Mette-Marit, the crown princess, being named in the Epstein files, we have no updates on that. We have been told very clearly through palace statements, through her husband, Crown Prince Haakon, directly speaking to the press, saying he at one point said, I'm not letting her talk about it now. Like, it's blame me. So they don't want to talk about that. Also because her son, Marius Borg Høby, is still on trial. We're like over halfway through, 2/3 of the way through this trial. And there was a shock news story coming out of this trial. Mette-Marit's son allegedly has secret child, court witness reveals.
Oh my God, this is basically
bombshell.
This is a special of like every talk show that was on air in the 90s.
Yeah.
This
pretty
is
much.
Maury.
We need Maury.
Wow.
Yeah. So on day 14 of 28 of the trial, according to...
Hello.
Oh, I'm sorry. Not hello. Hola.
Hola.
One witness claimed that during a party where allegedly an assault happened, Marius spoke about having a son. So the witness was a friend of the alleged victim. According to their testimony, Marius supposedly spoke about fatherhood, even showing a photo of his child. He shared details about his difficult childhood, talked about his son, and showed pictures of him, things that made the alleged victim trust him. Now, Norwegian press is clarifying that the witness was not present at the party. So it's like an account that comes from conversations.
Oh, like my girlfriend was at the party and here's what happened.
So it's been filtered through a couple different layers. And initially, Norwegian media were not sure if they could publish this claim, even though it was, I guess, read out in court. They did ultimately publish it, noting that it was testimony given with press and the public present, and there were no reporting restrictions. The royal palace in Norway has been approached for comment, and the same spokesperson, God bless this person, they got a lot to do right now. The same spokesperson who has been giving statements on Mette-Marit's behalf said, questions regarding the lawsuit should be addressed to Marius Borg Høby. We do not speak on his behalf, reinforcing a long-standing pattern of deflecting inquiries about the prince's son. But Marius's legal team is also, quote, staying mum, saying this information is unknown to us and we caution against spreading such rumors. And remember, Marius has pled not guilty to most of the charges against him in this trial, so it stands to reason you wouldn't get a response from the palace or his legal team. But, like, is this not relevant to how the royal household is operating? Like, if there was a son, and if he's showing pictures at parties, allegedly, to friends, wouldn't you want an answer? Like, does the crown princess have a grandchild? Is there financial support of this alleged grandchild?
That's what I was thinking. I think there is some, they're like ducks on the surface, like we're calm. And underneath they're like, God damn it, what now? Yeah, I feel like we're getting some, we're looking into this, but it would be very hard to believe that if, and this is all alleged, but if this turned out to be true, that nobody in the Norwegian royal family knew about it.
Right. And
also,
so
that is hard to cover up in the year of our Lord 2026.
Not impossible, I think, as we've seen, invisible contracts and whatnot.
How old is this man?
He's like 29, I think. He's like a little younger than me.
Yeah, not me. Don't say me.
Yeah, he's 29. So again, a place where questions, I think, need to be asked. And it's not out of any malicious intent. Like, I don't really care what the answer is. But if there is a child, I think the public needs to know at this point.
That's pretty important, especially when it comes back to finances. Exactly. How are we using money? Where is it coming from? These are important questions, and these are good questions, and they shouldn't destabilize or label anyone an anti-monarchist. Let's be real.
Thank you.
Let's be real.
Lastly, out of Norway, you had a, quote, telling photo, according to People, released for King Harald's birthday. The rare 3-generation portrait departs from tradition and appears designed to project stability as the Norwegian royal family faces mounting scrutiny. So basically, he marked his 89th birthday with a strikingly deliberate image, one that appeared less celebratory than strategic. So basically, I have it in the outline for you, Meredith, and we'll put it on the video if people are watching on Patreon or on YouTube a few days later. The photo is King Harald sitting in a chair, and he has Crown Prince Haakon, who is his heir, and Princess Ingrid Alexandra, who is the next in line after her dad, right behind him. It's basically the 3 generations of the royal family. And in any other environment, I don't think this would be read as telling or more designed to project stability. Like, yeah, that's what royal houses do. But because we are in this environment with the Epstein files and Mette Marit's son on trial, People, which doesn't often veer into the realm of analysis, they did insert a little bit into this report. They wrote, by centering the image solely on the reigning monarch and the next 2 heirs, the palace appears to be drawing a clear visual boundary, reinforcing the line of succession while distancing the institution from controversy elsewhere in the family. And it's like, yeah, I guess, but we've seen generational portraits like this from the British. I don't know. What's your take?
I don't think this is weird. I think it's just like, this is who was available for the photo. Also, like, Grandpa needs to sit, Gramps needs to sit. And you're going to just put your little hand on him. Like, this is just like, we got to do this photo and let's just do it. And yeah, Grandpa's older. And so, yeah, maybe you do want to say, hey, listen, we got 2 more in line. We are ready to go. But I didn't look at this and think, oh, Mette Marit isn't in it and other people aren't in it because it's sending a message. I mean, this is very British royal family analysis of pictures. Yeah. Do you want to hear how you could make this even more unhinged, like if I was a tabloid reporter?
Yeah, do it.
Okay. The lack of hand from the crown prince on his father's shoulder demonstrates the severe break in how they both envision the future of the monarchy. Is the crown princess or whatever, future whatever, is the sign of her hand on her grandfather's shoulder a sign that she is looking to go back to a more traditional way after the scandals of her father and his second wife?
No, it's his only wife.
But wait, who's the girl then?
What?
Doesn't he have kids? What am I talking about?
The daughter?
Wait, this is Mette Marit's family?
Uh-huh.
The guy behind is married to Mette Marit. So who's this girl? Who's this lady?
The girl is his daughter.
But he didn't have kids with Mette Marit, I thought.
No, they have 2 kids.
Really? And then Marcus is just from a previous marriage.
Marius is from a previous marriage. There's Ingrid Alexandra and her brother. Ooh, hang on. It's not going to.
So this is really, this really is Kardashian.
Not really. I don't think so.
Kinda.
So she has Marius from a previous relationship, but like she was not married previously, and neither was Haakon. Their second son is Prince Sverre Magnus. So there is another son and this daughter, but they're just in the line of succession.
Sure.
Anyway. I don't know who you were. I think you might have been thinking of the Danish brother who was married once and then married again, maybe?
Sure. Yeah. No, make an excuse that I was thinking about someone else and I'm not
I think you were. All right. So moving over, this is one of our joyful stories because it involves our
unproblematic king.
Grand Duke, well, he's not a king, Grand Duke Guillaume of Luxembourg. Last week, he registered as a stem cell donor, and the royal household shared pictures of him taking a blood test to their Instagram account. And this was really to raise awareness for a cause, the Plooster Project, Plooschter, or the Plaster Project, which is an initiative set up by a triathlete who was diagnosed with a chronic myeloid leukemia at the age of 25. So this project in Luxembourg is meant to encourage young people to register as stem cell donors because it's very hard to find a genetic match if you need a stem cell donation. So Guillaume is bringing awareness to this, saying anyone can register by simply taking a blood test. This simple gesture gives people with leukemia a chance for new life. And I kind of have to say, this didn't even require a whole personal journey, diagnosis, cancer treatment storyline. He just did this.
We just kind of did something good.
Just saying. It didn't have to be linked to...
Protect this man at all costs. This is the true leader of the world monarchies, I have decided. Grand
Not
Duke.
really, but yes.
But in my mind.
He's the one we need, right? So great action coming out of Luxembourg, and maybe inspiration for all of us at home and other monarchies on how they can show up and do good.
And maybe not like brief the editors behind the scenes about how this connects to whatever to create more story. I don't know.
Like,
that was
a
Prince William reference.
You can just do
you
it.
Just do you do the good thing.
Because the vibes are good.
There we go.
Lastly, out of the Netherlands, this isn't really a royal update, but have you seen on your social media any clips from a Crown-esque show following Queen Maxima?
No, why haven't I? What's wrong with my algorithm? My phone better be listening right now.
So there is a series. It's called Maxima. It was produced in the Netherlands, but I believe you can stream it online. So it's currently in its second season. And basically it follows how Maxima met and fell in love, and she's adding it to her list right now, fell in love and married King Willem-Alexander. Obviously, there are lots of controversies associated with their early relationship because Maxima's father could not attend her wedding because he was linked to a dictatorship back home. We now have learned there will be a spin-off series about two other Dutch princesses, and I just find the concept of a royal prestige drama multiverse so interesting.
I love this. Come on our show. Did you hear that The Crown actually is considering?
They're considering doing a follow-up.
This is
like
what
a spin-off on Andrew.
This would heal me. Yes.
Yeah. And they did introduce his character pretty well on The Crown.
They really did.
When he was present. But yes, in the Netherlands, there is now a series in development following Princess Mabel of Orange-Nassau and Princess Margarita de Bourbon de Parme. And so I dug into, like, who are these women? Why do they deserve a prestige romance television drama about them? Oh boy, I had no idea. Okay, so Princess Mabel is King Willem-Alexander's sister-in-law. So she was married to his late brother. And right away, I just went in Wikipedia. Like, this was not a super deep, rigorous bit of research.
It's fine.
But right away in her Wikipedia, we say, when she was 9 years old, Mabel's father died as a result of a drowning incident after trying to save his neighbor who fell into a hole in the ice while skating. Big shades of It's a Wonderful Life right off the bat. Like, I absolutely see how we could adapt this for television.
Okay, that's traumatic.
So Mabel was a huge figure in global humanitarian causes. She was the co-founder of the European Action Council for Peace in the Balkans, as well as War Child Netherlands and a European think tank called European Council on Foreign Relations. She also worked as the International Advocacy Director for the Open Society Institute and was the first CEO of the Elders, which is a group of individuals convened by Nelson Mandela to use their wisdom, independent leadership, and experience to tackle some of the world's toughest problems. And that's after she got married. So she was engaged to King Willem-Alexander's brother in June 2003, when the Dutch government said that it would not be seeking parliamentary approval for the marriage, which you need if you're in the succession, because Mabel had given incomplete and incorrect information about the duration and extent of her contact with a known drug lord, Klaus Breensma. And because of this, the government would not be seeking permission for the marriage. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Drug lord? Where did that come from?
Hard left turn. So I don't have much more. I guess I'll need to watch the TV show. But basically, Prince Friso said he would marry her regardless of the government not giving its permission, and as a result, got booted out of the Dutch line of succession. He had been second right behind King Willem-Alexander, his brother. So that's crazy. Now, there were also revelations about Mabel conducting an affair in 1993 with a Bosnian UN ambassador. So I imagine this series on this woman alone, and remember, there's a second princess that they're going to cover too.
No, there's not. That's amazing. I'm in. When does the series come out?
I'm not sure. It's currently in development.
Okay, and I'm here for it.
There is also Princess Margarita going to be covered. So she is the eldest daughter of Willem Alexander's aunt. So kind of a cousin niece situation. Her husband is a prominent entrepreneur who, according to Wikipedia, was, quote, not trusted by the Dutch royal family, whose senior members therefore did not attend the marriage. There was a series of incidents in the early 2000s accusing the couple accused the Dutch royal family of like meddling in her husband's affairs, tapping their phones. Eventually, it was revealed that the queen, would have been Queen Beatrix, her personal cabinet did indeed order an investigation on the couple. So that's crazy. They ultimately divorced, but like this is going to be some high drama.
Yes, they said, you think the British royal family has all the drama? Please step aside. Let us introduce drug lords to you.
Seriously, drug lords and royal jewels in the same series. What's not to love? But I just wonder, are we entering a new era of like prestige romance TV drama? Because now, of course,
hope so.
The Carolyn Bessette and John F. Kennedy Jr. series is airing on Disney Plus or Hulu or something like that.
I need to watch that because apparently the internet effectively bullied the team out of firing the costume designer because the early Carolyn Bessette shots were so effing bad. So apparently it looks really good. And I think it's based on a biography about Carolyn, which I think would be very interesting to read, and I want to read it. And also, I was on Cape Cod when the plane went down. And my friend was supposed to fly home that day. And obviously not a private airplane, but the second she saw in the Boston Globe that JFK's plane was missing, because at this point, JFK Jr.'s plane was missing, and it crashed off of Cape Cod. She was like, I'm not getting on that plane. She was in sixth grade. Her mom had to drive up from New Jersey and bring her home. Yes.
Well, would you like to hear my Kennedy connection?
Please.
So one time, my grad school roommate and we were in DC for an advocacy day. We were doing museum studies, so it was like museum advocacy day. We went into a cafe, and it was one of those situations where there was like a table but not enough chairs. So my friend, you met her, Val.
I was about to say, is this Val?
Yeah. She went up to this guy, I have to find the picture, at a table like next to the one we had
I'm trying to guess which Kennedy it is. I have some ideas.
I have a picture. Hang on. So yeah, she just goes, can I steal this? And he was like, I guess. He had like 5 stools at his table, first of all. And he did not need all of them. But then a couple minutes later, like somebody came and they looked like they were doing like a media interview or something. I had taken this picture of her because she realized after the fact that it was, I believe, Connor Kennedy with the red hair. Or is it not?
No, I don't think is his name Connor, or is it, I know the redhead. Redhead Kennedy.
Redhead Kennedy. Oh, it's not Connor.
No, his name is it Jack? Is it like
Joe
the third?
Kennedy the third.
Okay, we were getting there.
Here's our Joe Kennedy.
That is so funny. Actually, I was like, this has got to be Joe Kennedy. Once you said you were in a cafe, I said, I'm guessing Joe Kennedy.
Is he known to frequent cafes?
Well, no, because hasn't he been a rep?
Yes,
quite
he's
some time.
Actively,
He's actively a rep. He's on the younger side. I was trying to remember when Teddy Kennedy died, and it felt like it was probably it was too late at that point. And so going through how old you were and what Kennedys would be in DC, Joe Kennedy the third was
You're sharp.
we had to read a biography over the summer before 9th grade. I read The Fitzgeralds and the Kennedys by Doris Kearns Goodwin. And my stepfather had just started to get to know me. They were just dating at the time. And he looked at me and goes, I bet you $20 you can't finish that book. And I looked at him, I said,
challenge accepted.
It was finished in like 2 weeks. I was obsessed. It's a great book.
All right. Well, one day when Joe Kennedy III is president, that's my story. We stole a stool from him at a cafe, and he was a little annoyed.
So let's move on to unimpressive white men. We are, of course, talking about Mike Tindall, who is the husband of Zara Tindall, who is the daughter of Princess Anne. They have some kids together.
Do we need to lay out our bias against Mike Tindall before this segment? Because this might be the first time we've ever actually talked about just him.
I will say I don't know a ton about him except for the fact that he's a former rugby player, obviously now married to Zara, does podcasts and
reality
other things.
TV.
Reality TV. I'm going to say that he's the kind of guy that was I think some of us lowered ourselves to when we were if we were in college in the early 2000s. We might have put up with a guy like this, but in 2026, it is just learn to control yourself. You are so basic. I went through his entire Instagram followers because I'm like, who does he follow? And it's so weird. I have it in there, some of them, because it's of course you follow Steve-O.
Is this the same territory of Prince William? Of course you went to see Blades of Glory.
It's kind of like that. And it's but you follow Boy George and Joe Rogan, and then every kind of toxic fitness influencer, strength of the mind, take my course and unhack your brain or whatever. It's that kind of shit.
So vibes rancid?
The vibes are not good.
Okay, perfect.
So what are your thoughts on
Mike? I believe I sent you a message yesterday. And I said, he looks like Prince William if he took steroids and then got all sweaty inside somebody's gym sock. I believe that's what I said.
That would have been correct. Both maybe incandescent with rage.
It just, again, control yourself, sir, is the biggest impression I'm always left with.
He feels like a relic of a type of man that we do not need in society anymore. We need these kind of men to reform. I think it's possible. I don't actually. I was just trying to be positive.
Just to say, Zara, I think you can do better. And I'll leave it there.
Okay. So Mike Tindall wore a stupid ass hat. Yes. And I was the stupid ass who tweeted about it by mistake. Because, of course, the one time I decided to talk my shit.
You still tweet?
Every once in a while, it's basically me sneaking a cigarette.
You got to move over to Threads.
I can't. I'm too old. So I tweeted, why is Princess Anne's son-in-law wearing a MAGA-looking hat? That's kind of weird, no? And I didn't
it's not even MAGA-looking. It says, make England great again. That's a riff on MAGA.
Yeah. And so I muted the comments because I don't hate myself. And because, it's why are you making it political, you stupid American?
The nature of the hat is political. I'm sorry if you don't like that.
So essentially, Mike Tindall is on his podcast, The Good, the Bad, and the Rugby. Not a bad name, I gotta say. Pretty good. And he is wearing this red cap, the same MAGA red that we have gotten used to that says, make England great again. And this is, if you listen to people that are defending him, this has to do with rugby, not politics. It has to do with England's team. And
but that's not how it gets read, is my thing.
So it doesn't matter.
Impact over intent again.
Yeah. And it also, the other thing you get is, well, this has nothing to do with Anne or the monarchy. And it's always so fun when you get to pick and choose when people are related to people in the royal family.
Ooh. And now we said it.
Yeah. And then, of course, you get the Daily Mail article that's well, some people on Twitter are saying, and then others. But
are you in the article?
I'm not. Because I have a video for you.
Okay.
That kind of, for me, encapsulates why this is a problem. And why it very clearly sends a certain kind of message to a certain kind of person who is looking for this message. Because remember,
I'm prepared.
Because I just want to say really quickly, "Make America Great Again" was originally a Reagan slogan. He said it during the 1980 campaign
and again,
for president.
My education in the 1980s, not strong. from a formal education standpoint. But even I know Reagan, not the guy you want to be.
Not the guy. I mean, again, a nationalist, nativist argument. I mean,
riddled
this was really
with dementia at the end of his term.
It's true. Love jelly beans. But also, like, he was really making also like an economic argument. And so this has taken on meaning, and you can't ignore that. So, Amanda, we're going to listen to Dan Wootton's take on this.
Oh, why?
As the UK is plunged into its most divisive and chilling by-election in our history, as hard-left woke politics and as extreme Islamists link up in an unholy alliance to usher in an era of sectarian politics that I think is going to be impossible to reverse, it was a low-key member of the royal family, providing the message patriots so desperately need. Yes, step forward Princess Anne's son-in-law, Mike Tindall, a sound and based ex-rugby star who donned a mega cap in his most recent podcast. The sight of a popular royal seeming to concede that we in the disunited kingdom are in a period of decline and needing our own Trump-like figure to make England great again struck a real chord. And it also wound up all the right people. This isn't a good look for the royal family. It's a bloody brilliant look. Who knows? Maybe he's already signed up to restore and will also attend Unite the Kingdom on the 18th of May. Genuinely, the sign of hope is patriots needed, and it is coming from Mike Tindall. Love him even more now, and he was already a legend before the hat. I have it on very good authority that Mike Tindall was one of those biggest campaigners inside the British royal family, backing Prince William and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, over Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. They used to be very close, Harry and Mike, but Mike can't stand Meghan, can't stand the wokery. And I say, good on you, Mike. Make England great again. I loved that hat.
I loved that hat. Jesus, Roosevelt Christ.
It's funny because some of it almost sounds sarcastic, but the point of it is it's making the right people mad.
Do they actually talk like this? Like,
I feel like this has to be an act that
is
you
it
do
rage
on
bait?
Camera. Oh, everything someone like Dan Wootton does is rage bait. It's not based in any sort of ethics or journalism. But I mean,
so you can't. Okay,
yeah.
When you have people like that making that argument, it's what we need. Thank you, Mike Tindall. You can no longer hide between. Don't make everything political. You have already made it political, and just because you don't like there being an opposition doesn't mean you can then hide behind that argument.
No, you certainly cannot. And that's when I decided, let me kind of dig into Mike and kind of see what his political stance is. And I didn't live in, I had to limit myself to this rabbit hole, but I did dig in. And at some point he does have one of those, like, I don't like the establishment elite, which is always so funny when it's coming from someone that's kind of a part of the establishment elite.
And also objectively doesn't sound like they know how anything works.
Well, no, of course they don't. So I have a quick article. This is from The Independent from November 2022.
Okay.
Mike Tindall broke royal protocol by calling politicians fuckers on I Am a Celebrity. So he said on the show, I just think all politicians are fuckers. I mean, for them to even have the conversation just because they're all Boris fans that didn't like how Boris was ousted, that you won't pick the best person for the job, that sums politicians up. So he's also made comments about former health secretary Matt Hancock. Again, typically the royal family do not comment on politics. But then...
No.
Hold on.
Don't tell me there's more.
Hold on.
He really is giving me like the fitness guru, health guru to MAGA pipeline. Like that's the energy.
Yes. Yeah, it really is.
I bet he loves RFK.
Probably.
Do you think he and Zara drink raw milk with cow shit in it? Things I don't want to know. And this is why if you're connected to the royal family, you just need to keep your mouth shut. Because I don't want to think about that.
And also, we're very quick to say, well, it's so far removed from the royal family. There have never been working royals. But if Meghan puts out an email, it's like, what is this saying? So there was also more about him because I kept reading down the article. And I just feel like this is important to understand about Mike.
Right. Sorry, I had to take a picture of Whimsy.
It's okay. This might ruin you. Earlier this week, so this is still from November, Tindall recalled a time he shit dropped something. I think it's shit dropped in front of his mother and
slut dropped. That's what they call like twerking, basically, in the UK.
Okay, so the Jersey Turnpike
So
is
he did
slut-dropping.
yes, exactly, yes. Because some people accused Meghan of doing that in her baby mama dance video.
Yes, I do remember that. We talked about that. So this was during Zara's 30th birthday party. He told the interviewer that the party was 70s theme and he'd been wearing a full outfit according to the theme with flares. Quote, I was dancing on the dance floor. I had like flares on, full outfit, but it was quite tight. Nothing ever fits rugby player's bum and legs. So I was dancing with my mother-in-law, Princess Anne, and I did a slut drop in front of my mother-in-law. Ripped my trousers straight in front of her. It happened to be that my boxers that I had on at the time said, nibble my nuts. Tindall said that Anne walked off while saying, quote, I'd rather not.
God.
Anne hates this man. I don't care what anyone says. Anne hates this man.
Rancid vibes. Rancid.
Gross. Like, okay, Mike Tindall is older than Zara. I don't know by how much, but you're wearing nibble my nuts boxers, dude.
Ugh.
So he's gross. So I just think it's an interesting conversation.
Daughters.
I know. And that's why it's like, well, I have daughters. That doesn't actually make it any better. It still sucks. I mean, this is definitely someone who probably locker room talk is locker room talk, right? And it shouldn't be offensive to women. It's that vibe. It really is.
It throws decisions that have been made about this man into such a new light. Because remember when Will and Kate went on his podcast with Anne?
Yeah. Remember when that was the new Fab?
We're so hell bent on putting Harry and Meghan in their place that we will condone this person's behavior.
And we find like all the shittiest people, you know? It's like, you could have had a bad bitch, but you have Mike Tindall instead.
Congratulations. Maybe that's what they think they deserve. So
stay winning.
Can't fight with it.
And you know what? That really says a lot about the state of the monarchy. So speaking of the monarchy, really quickly, we have a little Beatrice and Eugenie update. There have been rumors that
Do we?
Kind of, well, we have an update to the narrative that we are putting out there about Beatrice and Eugenie. So I love that you're like a teacher that's like, okay, but take that further. Keep going with that thought. So there is reporting out that Beatrice and Eugenie are banned from the Royal Ascot, which my first thought was, when are these people good enough at planning anything this far in advance?
To do that. But also my first thought when I heard this was, you can't do that. It's a public event. They could just buy tickets.
Right? And I will say that the reporting does say that the girls will not attend. Which, first of all, they're not girls. The women, will not attend with the royal family, which is different than banning because, like you said, you can't ban them. Apparently, another source told the Daily Mail, which is the main source for all the other stories, the spin-off stories, that they've spoken with a friend.
Speaking of a multiverse.
That he's spoken with a friend who works at Ascot, and they said the girls have been told that they can't be there this year. And hold on.
The girls, the girls.
The girls. I will say, though, if they end up kind of being suggested that they don't go, this would not be the first time. This was one of the cruelest things in Andrew Lowney's book Entitled, where you're like, wow, this sucks. So in his book, he talks about how the year after Sarah and Andrew are separated and it gets out into public, her status change is very evident. So what he says is the previous Ascot, she had been riding in a carriage with the Queen Mother. Now she watched from the roadside as the Queen passed by. Beatrice cried out, "Can we come too?" The Queen just carried on waving. Yikes, that's cold. That's a child.
That's a child, and that was a girl. And I do feel for a child in that situation who wouldn't understand why they're suddenly out in the cold with their grandmother. That's crazy. And there is the royal family, lowercase, and then there's the royal family, uppercase. And both are kind of part of Royal Ascot, which is what makes it so tricky.
Do you want to know the best part, though?
Yeah, I guess.
The best part is this is a win for Prince William. This is the second win of the week.
Yeah.
So basically the Daily Beast put out this article, Tom Sykes put out this article that was like, William scores 2 wins over this weekend. And so of course you're like, well, what is the win? The first win is obviously it coming out that he thought that Andrew should be removed from the line of succession back in October, but it just came out now. Huge W. Okay. And then I know. And then the second is that Beatrice and Eugenie might not be allowed in the carriage procession. But then that also made me question the whole carriage procession, because in the piece, they say that people, this is from People magazine, People understands that decisions around royal family attendance at Royal Ascot, including the royal procession carriage list, rest solely with Buckingham Palace. So what happened with Kate last year? What happened with that?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So basically, just some background on the geography of Ascot, which will answer your question, I think. So Royal Ascot, like, is a public event. Like, you can just buy tickets and go get wasted. Like, if you've ever seen social media videos of Ascot from not the royal watching perspective, but just like from the parking lot or from the hill, like,
we need to watch those.
Wasted. It's crazy.
Yes. Okay.
But like the same event has the royal enclosure and the royal box, where you pay still to get into the royal enclosure, and you can, as a member of the public, you just have to purchase a membership for £150, be sponsored by 2 existing members, and get your application approved by His Majesty's representative at Ascot.
Okay, that's cheaper than buying a King Charles hand-painted trinket box.
Trinket box.
I'm just saying.
So presumably, they try to limit attendance to people who can pay to play.
The riffraff, yeah.
But then there's the royal box, which is invitation only for the use of the monarch, their children, and their grandchildren, and their associates. Because remember, like, Peter Phillips took his girlfriend before they got engaged, and everyone was like, oh my gosh,
yeah,
royal wedding incoming. Also, I'm waiting for us to find out that his wedding photos have been sold exclusively to Hello. I'm calling it now.
Okay, you heard it here first.
But then you have the carriage procession, which is like another layer of exclusivity. Like, I think you can go to the royal box and not be in the carriage because there's only like 4 carriages usually. So that's the thing that would be determined by Buckingham Palace. But then Ascot, the organization, would print the list for the program of who's in the carriages. And that's where I think the breakdown happened, when Kate was going to attend and then presumably pulled out at the last minute. Even though we then tried to make it seem like she was never actually supposed to go. It was a mess.
But then why would her name have been on the list that they got to print?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think the palace wouldn't have told them until the very last minute, and Ascot printed it too early. That's what I'm saying. So
God,
Beatrice and Eugenie,
was weird.
It was weird. Beatrice and Eugenie, they can be barred from the carriage procession pretty easily. It would just be kind of weird because all of the royals typically do get to go in the carriages. They could, but probably not realistically will be barred from the royal box and the royal enclosure because they have this like automatic entitlement to be there. So I asked a friend of mine who does go to Ascot. They said, I find it highly unlikely that the king would ever make public such a thing, nor would they ban them. It would be more likely for the royal family that the girls have overlapping engagements or like a scheduling conflict. We wouldn't ever say they're not coming, they're not allowed to be at Royal Ascot. It would be their schedule doesn't allow it. When that happens, we can absolutely side-eye it because these girls are always at the races. Like every single year, they're there almost every day.
I'm pretty sure Sarah Ferguson's father was a horse trainer or something.
They love, equestrian
this
stuff.
This is all in the family.
So basically, the royal family could ask them not to be present, like visibly, but again, that's like highly unlikely to happen, is what I've been told.
I think what this could be, because what I find interesting about this is not this news, because you're right, it's not news, but why is it out there? Why are we covering it? Why is the Mail on Sunday covering it? And it really feels like a reversal from Charles opening up his arms to his nieces to bring them into the royal fold, which I wrote in November of 2025. And I feel very vindicated that this was probably not a good idea. And we're probably moving a little too fast with this, because why do the British royals think that there will never be an eye on Andrew's finances or time as UK trade envoy? I'm not psychic or particularly good at this. I just recognize patterns. But basically,
You're overqualified for a palace job with pattern recognition, by the way.
I'm honored. But I also think that this might be Buckingham Palace kind of testing the waters for how do we feel about kind of separating from Beatrice and Eugenie for a little bit? How do we feel about kind of rolling back some of that, putting them on the forefront? Because it does say... It does say in one of the pieces, I believe it's the Mail on Sunday piece, that this is part of a larger move to temporarily get Beatrice and Eugenie out of the spotlight.
Why? Like, so my question with that, aside from temperature taking, what would the point of that be? And I can't think of anything because we're not admitting that they had any ties to Epstein themselves. There's been no discussion of them potentially being victimized. We don't want to talk about their finances. And so we have this sharp 180, not just for now we might ban them from Ascot, but William getting credit for this when I thought William was the one that wanted his cousins to help support him as a modern king.
Wasn't there a weird thing back and forth where at first we were told that William kind of went hard on his cousins to like get their father
threatened
out of
their
Royal Lodge?
titles? Yeah.
And then but wasn't that kind of like
it was rebutted?
Well, of course he didn't do that.
Yeah.
Like that's really harsh.
To your point, the temperature taking, like maybe that is what we're doing because under all of these stories, there will always be comments. You can't punish the children for the sins of the father. And it's like, no, but you can ask questions about their own business dealings. So maybe the palace is just weighing public opinion first rather than actually dealing with what Beatrice and Eugenie's roles in these unfolding scandals could have realistically been.
What? Why would you say that, Amanda?
The optics are more important, I would say. I would hazard
this is
a guess.
not the vibe, is what I'm going to say.
It's not the vibe. No. Well, this episode,
I think that does it.
This episode was the vibe. We got through it. There was a lot to update you on. I'm going to go look at the picture of Grand Duke Guillaume getting his blood tested again because it's just so wholesome. It's just a wholesome story.
Yeah.
That's my
I
favorite
agree.
from the day.
I agree. But before we wrap up here, obviously we have to say thank you to our Patreon press secretaries, Molly, Nikki, Jessica, and Dorothy. Thank you so much for your continued support. We know that you would make sure we were on those goddamn carriages. There would not be any temperature taking. We are the moment. We will be on those carriages.
And the list would always be up to date by the time it needs to go to print because you are that
Nary
good.
an issue. Nary an issue. And of course, to our crown jewel, Sir Christopher of the Order of the Garter of the Baby's Breath of Princess of Malia of the Grand Duke. You, sir, are the... I was trying to make a stem cell thing and then that didn't feel right. I lost the thread. God damn it, I lost the thread.
I'm scrolling through the outline looking for
you, sir.
Point. You would have a starring role in the prestige drama of our lives.
Oh my God, that was so cute. I love that. You would. And we love all of you. Thank you for your continued support. As always, bonus episodes, ad-free video. Get that all over on Patreon. If you want to watch episodes a couple days later, you can do that over on YouTube. And we will, of course, be back on Friday for our Friday news dump, which will be recorded on Thursday because 'tis the season for every single spring choral concert.
Prayers for Meredith.
Children.
I don't know
Thoughts
if
and
listeners
prayers.
know, but her children are in 2 different school districts, multiple different schools, multiple different after-school activities. So it's a time. It's a time. Spring break's coming up, though, right?
It sure is. And I have to say, I mean, just really, really killing it. I forgot to send 2 of my children to school.
You did.
I did, because of all of the insanity with the school schedules and how different they were.
They don't
I thought
overlap.
everyone had off one day, and the school called me at the end of the day, which could you have called me earlier?
9 a.m. maybe?
And they were like,
where
do
are
you know
kids?
where your children are? It's 3 p.m. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, they had school today, ma'am. Mother of the year. I will throw in at the end, though, really quickly, that Amanda did save my ass without knowing it. My daughter came in, of course, last minute saying, it's Disney dress up day tomorrow. Like, what am I supposed to do?
Are you a Disney household? Like, do you have a lot of Disney paraphernalia lying around?
No, when they were younger, we had some like dress up stuff, but we've never been like full. Like, there's not a Disney sticker on my car. Like, I'm not a Disney adult. So the kids have watched, but they've aged, they've kind of aged out of things. So I looked at her, I'm like, we could dress you up as a princess. She's like, how? And then I looked over and I go, I forgot. She goes, what? I go, oh, I have a really special crown, but it's kind of like really important. So I don't really know. And she's like, what is it? And I'm like, this is from Amanda Matta. And she's like, who? Because of course she doesn't really remember.
The video you sent me, she's just like, okay. And she's like looking at her crown.
I know. I told her, I'm like, this is really special because she might not be Disney royalty, but she is the #1 American TikTok royal commentator. So she's kind of royalty adjacent. And I said, she's been in the same room with Prince Edward. She's like, who? Like, it doesn't matter. She's writing a book with illustrations about, and she was like, oh, because there's pictures. And I said, so this crown, kind of a big deal. So when you go into school and people are like, where'd you get your crown? You say you got it from Amanda Matta, an actual royal commentator. And that was enough.
So some secondary school is filled with children who are like, am I supposed to know who that is? And it's
Am I supposed to care? Yeah, exactly.
I just love the idea of your middle grade child going to school in like a full, I believe the crown I gave you was Queen Alexandra's fringe tiara recreation. Yes. So I love how seriously she took the assignment.
It was very serious. And she's like, it's a little tilted on my head. And I was like, well, Kate didn't care.
True.
It's good enough for Kate. It's good enough for you, kid.
Well, thank you so much for listening. We will catch you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.